Hello, humans, and welcome to another episode of Gen X Gamer here on the morning drive. It's a lot of traffic. Thought that I share these thoughts with you about the price, the real price that you pay when you take free arcade cabinets, free video games, free whatever. It doesn't matter. One of the biggest risks that people make in business is not calculating their actual risk, right? That's one of the biggest mistakes. You need to calculate what is at risk when you go into business. Now here, specifically in the home arcade community, but it's not unique to them. You've seen it in the Amico, you've seen it in other products where people align themselves with these companies for absolutely no money, just because they're fanboys, just because they're admirers, just because X reason, it doesn't matter. But they don't weigh the risk of doing business with these companies, and that's really the gist of the problem. These companies are doing business with you, right? And these people really just want to get views, or they're fanboys, or maybe they want to get rich, right? But they don't really have a plan. But they don't weigh the risk to reward of getting this supposed free product. Now, as a business person, sitting on the other side of the desk, I'm looking at is, wait a minute, I can give this guy that has X amount of views, right? And I calculate how much I pay on Instagram per view, as opposed to giving this guy a cabinet that my landed cost maybe $200, right? How many views am I going to get out of that? How much free labor am I going to get out of that? A lot of times these guys will spend 40, 50 hours promoting that product or showing it off, this and that and the other. 40 or 50 hours at minimum wage is more than the landed cost of the cabinet. So now I'm getting free labor and I'm getting views at a lower discounted rate. It's a win-win for me, right? It's all incoming for me. The only thing I have to put out is this piece of pressed cardboard, this toy. Now, what these guys are not looking on the other side is that these companies can do more damage to you than good. Perfect example is like this parody video that I did with with Gator and the Game Weenie, right? These are just comedic thoughts. But when you put it into reality, right, the damages these companies can do to you is more than the free product they're giving you is worth. Because if they cut off a relationship with you for whatever reason, and 99% of the time, guys, these companies don't say why they don't want to work with you anymore. They just end the relationship and that's it. It could be that they didn't like that you played ROMs on their arcade machine or on their, video game console, whatever it is. But famously, you'll see it with, for example, for Nintendo. When Nintendo cuts off ties with a creator that has been popular making, videos for them, whatever the rumors are get immediately validated. Right? In the case of Arcade 1-Up, those rumors are much, much worse. Whether they were true or not, it doesn't matter, because people don't really pay attention to the trolls, right? Until a big company validates those opinions by cutting ties off with you, right? They just cut ties with you. Now, people are thinking, well, is it true? Is it not true? Which part of it is it true? And it's people always assume the worst. It could be that, it just hypothetically here, let's say that you are one of these shills that sold their soul, right? And all of a sudden they say, oh, we're going to cut ties with you because you have a violent past, or whatever. That's the rumor out there. It turns out that you got in a bar fight in college and you spent the night in jail or something like that. But they'll never say that. They'll never state the reason publicly. And whatever troll grabbed that information, and spread it about you, now all of a sudden becomes right. Not because their opinion, that troll's opinion, was meaningful before. It's validated by a major company. Right? That's the problem. Is that worth, $200 worth of pressed cardboard? I don't think so. Right? Because now they put you in a negative light. Now, if the things are true, well, like I said before, why the hell are you in the public eye if you're that kind of person, You should be hiding under a rock, right? If you've done horrible things in the past. But if you're not, and, I want to think that most people that want to become YouTube famous or want to be professional shills to get products, they're not really those kind of people. Nonetheless, the risk that they're taking, the risk to reward is terrible because you're taking on all that risk. And the biggest mistake you can make in business is not calculating your risk properly, right? You're not calculating your risk. And like I said, these companies are engaged in business with you. And a lot of these people are just fanboys. They're not doing business with them. For starters, I think, even though they're just giving you, whatever, $200, $300 of pressed cardboard, when they report it, they report it at full retail price as an expense, right? That's how you're going to get taxed after $650, right? You got to pay taxes, or, at least in America, at least in California, that's the way it is. And most people don't take advantage of that, right? Most people are not running their YouTube channels as a business, so they're not only not taking advantage of all the tax breaks that they could be getting, depending on their situation. Again, you have to consult your accountant, your professional, because everybody's situation is different, right? But I would say in general, most people don't take their YouTube channels as a business. But these people do. They did the calculations, right? You work 40 hours a week for me for free for at least 2 weeks. Maybe I'll get 50 to 80 hours of basically free labor. The click-through rates are a lot cheaper than if I were to pay Instagram. That's great. So it's a win-win for the company. But for you, potentially the risk outweigh the rewards. Because if all of a sudden you do something they don't like, they hear something they don't like, right? And all of a sudden they cut ties with you without an explanation, people are going to assume the worst. And not only that, they'll take you to places, right? Let's see. These are the things you don't think about. Let's say that you go to one of these expos. They sent you out there and you go there. And you get sick. Or you break your leg. Or somebody hits you with a bat. Whatever the hell it is. Who's going to pay for that? Do you think the company's going to pay? Oh, hell no. That's why you have to demand a paycheck. Do not sell your soul. If they think so highly of you that they would fly you out somewhere, but they won't give you a paycheck. They won't give you any protections whatsoever. All they're giving you is a free ticket, maybe a free motel. What if you get robbed at the motel? All these are risks you're assuming on your own for the sake of these companies. And their risk is very little. They're just giving you pennies on the dollar. You need to think about these business relationships in a whole different way, because the risk for you is very, very high. If you're, a dedicated YouTuber, if you're somebody who's out there, trying to make a business of it, trying to promote yourself, all this stuff is fine. But then you need to act like a business because they're doing business with you. And the minute, and I mean the minute, that you're not useful to them or you put them in a bad light, they're going to get rid of you. Because that's what businesses do. It's self-preservation. This is a business transaction. And the more you treat it as a fanboy relationship to a company that you admire, the more in the end that you will lose. If you're going to do all this shilling, if you're going to do all this back-breaking work, you might as well get paid because the risk is too high. All right, humans, I will catch you on the next one. Members get it first. Thank you for joining me, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching my videos, your comments. I do appreciate them all. Take care. I'll catch you on the next one.